Is this microphone on? Yes. Good morning. My name is Adam Isaacs. After spending 15 years in the hospitality and food service industries, my wife and I started PAL Experiences, a social enterprise to help businesses in all types of venues more successfully include guests with autism and other non-visible disabilities. Today I want to tell you a story. One Saturday this past October, Lisa took her 5-year-old son, Jack, and his older brother out to lunch. They went to a casual dining restaurant, a family spot that looked like any of these. It was part of a national chain with more than 200 locations. While they were waiting for their food, Jack started to get upset. He cried, then yelled. After about 5 minutes, the manager came over and said, "People are looking at you. Your child is crying excessively. You need to leave." What the manager didn't know was that this was not just a boy misbehaving or maybe a mom not disciplining her son appropriately. Jack has autism spectrum disorder, a non-visible disability that impacts 1 in 68 children born in the US and 1 in 40 boys. Now, autism is not a flaw, it's a difference. So Jack's brain is wired in a way where he thinks, communicates, and perceives the world just a little bit differently than most of us. He's partially nonverbal, and he gets really overstimulated and anxious when encountering certain new sensory experiences or changing behaviors. Lisa explained this to the manager, but he insisted they leave. She felt devastated. She said the incident was embarrassing and dehumanizing. Not exactly the best customer service experience. So, what could the staff have done differently? To answer this question, let's change the mood a little bit. Let's lighten it up. Let's go bowling. I'm going to borrow an analogy from Shelley Moore. She's an instructor at the University of British Columbia who studies inclusive education. She helps teachers more effectively include students of all abilities in all classrooms. When she likes to talk about the benefits of inclusive education, she talks about bowling. So, I don't know about you all, but when I bowl, I aim straight for the middle, I throw it as hard as I can, and I hope for the best. If I don't knock all the pins down, sometimes I'm left with 2 standing, staring straight at me. This is the hardest shot in bowling. It's the 7-10 split. So how is bowling like customer service? Well, think about it. The ball is the guest experience. The pins are the guests. We aim for the middle. We do the best we can. We provide great service to most guests, but oftentimes, those who need the most support can be left out. This is what happened to Lisa and her boys, and it happens to many families like them that are impacted by non-visible disabilities. So what do I mean by a non-visible disability, and how many people are affected by this? Well, non-visible disabilities don't necessarily impact mobility, so they aren't supported by traditional accommodations like wheelchairs, ramps, or elevators. Non-visible disabilities impact behavior, communication, sensory processing. These are things your customers are experiencing, but that we don't see and we don't traditionally recognize as being disabilities. So, I wasn't supposed to go to that one. According to the 2010 US Census, nearly 20% of Americans have a disability. And of those, most, in fact, 41 million people have a non-visible intellectual or developmental disability. We talk with these families and individuals a lot, and because few accommodations exist, and sometimes they don't get the best service, they say it's just easier to stay home rather than go out. The National Autistic Society says that 70% of families impacted by autism feel socially isolated. This is not good for the families, obviously. It's not good for communities, and it's not good for business. So back to Shelley Moore's analogy. If you watch professional bowlers, you see that they don't roll the ball down the middle. Instead, they change their aim. They throw the ball at a curve. In order to knock down the most pins, They aim for those that are hardest to hit. So what if we as hospitality service providers tried this approach by educating staff about guests with non-visible disabilities and providing tools to support them? What if instead of ignoring Lisa and her boys and then asking them to leave because they were bothering other guests, what if the manager had come over and simply asked, "How can I help you?" Now, in addition to offering videos and other resources, this is the customer service framework we recommend at PAL. It was developed to assist guests with non-visible disabilities, but it's really simple, and it can help all types of guests. You start with hello. Unfortunately, it's common for guests who are having a hard time or getting ignored it's common for guests who are having a hard time to be ignored. It's not because we're rude, we just don't really want to say or do the wrong thing in that type of a situation. So start with hello. Then engage, smile, make eye contact. If it seems like someone's having a hard time, ask them, "How may I help you?" And if someone may have a disability, try communicating with them directly, not around them. Then listen, pay attention. If you don't understand something the first time, it's okay to ask again. And if the parent or caretaker prefers to speak on their behalf, that's okay too. Then be patient. It may take a few extra minutes, but your willingness to listen and offer support will be rewarded. So again, what if that restaurant had tried this approach with Lisa and her boys? Instead of leaving in tears, maybe she would have gone home and posted about her positive experience on Facebook, Yelp, or in the local mom blog. Maybe other guests would have noticed this kindness and appreciated it as well. Then the restaurant would have the mom of a special needs child raving about their service. Now that's a pretty great testimonial. And all they had to do was change their aim. Thank you.